Hello everyone, this is Aaron from Accountancy. I'm going to try to get some interaction between you guys and Mappit to try and answer some of the questions that you might have, and also come up with some videos to look at other aspects such as failure, how to deal with failure, how to pass your accountancy exams, how to keep positive, those sorts of things, as well as looking at subject areas in a slightly different way, maybe to the way that we'll have looked at previously. So what I'd like you to do is to email your questions to me at the email address below this video, or ask your questions on Facebook. We won't be able to answer all the questions, but if we get some good questions, we will do a little video on our thoughts on them. And that's what we're going to start with today. So the first thing I wanted to talk about was how to deal with failure. Now, hopefully you'll have got your ACCA results today and passed everything, and it'll be an extremely happy day. But sometimes we fail, and it's how we deal with that failure that will give you either the confidence to keep going or ultimately mean that you may not get qualified. So we need to learn to deal with the failures that we have. And I've got some thoughts here that I want to go through to say, right, how can we take the experience of failure and make ourselves better because of it? So the first thing that I want you to do is to be honest with yourself when you failed. You've got to ask yourself the question, why did I fail? If you can answer that question, well then you're much less likely to fail again in the future. So if you can answer the question, why did I fail? And you can say, well, I know I didn't do enough work, or I know that I didn't get the exam paper finished. Well, then you can focus on those areas. You can focus on perhaps giving yourself more time to study. Or you can say, let's practice more exam questions under timed conditions so that we don't fall into that trap again. So that's the first thing you need to do. You need to be really honest with yourself as to why you failed. Then you need to look at what you did last time for the exam. And what you need to do is change something. The definition of insanity is to do the same thing over and over and expect to get a different result. Well, if you're doing the same thing, would you not expect the same thing to happen? So if you do the same study techniques, you do the same thing for the exam after you failed the first time, well, what's going to happen? You're likely to fail the second time. So you need to change something. You need to change the way you study. And we're going to look in future sessions at how to pass, how to structure your studying, and how to go about making sure that you don't fall into common problems that students have. So change something if you failed the last time. The third thing I want you to do is not to listen to negativity. Now, there's two places that negativity can come from. It can come from you. So you can be negative about yourself. You can say, I'm not good enough to pass, or I'm stupid, I'm not as good as other students. Rubbish. There are a few reasons why you may have failed, and in fact, we'll go into detail in another session as to reasons for failure. But really, it boils down to two things. Number one, you didn't do enough work. Or number two, you didn't have good exam technique. Those are the two reasons for failing. So don't tell yourself you're not good enough. If you're within this exam, if you have the entry requirements, well then you're good enough to pass it. You just have to make sure that you do. The other place that negativity can come from is other people. Now that could be your family saying, oh, we don't see you anymore, we need you with us, you're studying too hard. Or it could be other students saying, these exams are so hard, no one ever passes. Again, rubbish. Don't listen. You need to stay positive, get a big smile on your face, be happy, Even though you failed, remember every failure is one more step towards success, because you'll be able to rule out things that you did wrong and not do them again. So keep positive, don't be negative about yourself, and don't let others drag you down. Lastly then, don't complicate things. These qualifications and accountancy exams are simple. You need to stick to the basics. So stick to the basics and simply practice. Now, when we talk in more detail about our pass technique, how we're going to go about studying to pass the exam, we'll talk more about practicing past paper questions. But practice is absolutely key. You cannot go into this exam without having practiced lots and lots of questions. So that could be one of the reasons that you'll find you didn't pass. Because if you didn't practice enough questions under timed conditions, and that's crucial, it must be under timed conditions, well then that could be one of the main things that led you to fail the exam. What do you need to do? You need to change something to fix that so that you can pass the exam the next time. So we're going to keep things really simple, short and sweet with these sessions, just a 5-minute video to say, answer any of your questions if you post them down below or post them on Facebook, or indeed email them to us. So we'll select the best questions, or if there are common questions coming up, we'll do a little session like this. In the first few sessions like this, I'm going to focus on common areas. So we're dealing with failure today. We'll talk about how to pass in the next session. We'll talk about excuses for failure in the session after that, and then maybe do some summaries of various syllabus areas. So in the meantime, if you can get your questions in, and then perhaps we can choose your question and do a little video on it.